Hello, I'm Daniel and welcome to my YouTube channel. We here at the channel are continuing in our series of videos with respect to information, education, guidance, advice, and I want to say something that happened a couple of Sabbaths ago. During Parsha Vayera, this is talking about when the plagues are coming to Egypt, and in the synagogue in Niagara Falls, where I was at, there was a get-together of rabbis and people who are kosher supervisors, so under the COR in Canada. And I was there, and I'm going to the synagogue on Saturday morning, and I'm on my way in. The Torah reading has already begun. And in this synagogue, in the Chabad synagogue in Niagara Falls, in order to get to the men's sections, you got to walk behind the women's section. So I'm going there, and who do I see in the women's section but a very perceptive young lady, and she's looking at me and she's pointing to her Chumash. That's the Torah, the books of Moses, and some selections from the writings and the prophets that we use in the synagogue. She's pointing to her Chumash, and she's pointing to the guy who's reading the Torah. And she's pointing and has this inquisitive look on her face, and I knew exactly what she was talking about. So I take my place, finish the Torah reading, we finish synagogue, and no sooner do I leave the synagogue that she comes up to me and she says something about what's with this coming and going. And again, I knew exactly what she was talking about. Because in Parshas Vayera, in chapter 7 of Exodus, verse 15, God commands Moses, go to Pharaoh, lech el Pharaoh. 11 verses later, God is saying to Moses, come to Pharaoh. So it makes sense to say, God's talking to Moses, go to Pharaoh in Egypt. But now he's talking to Moses, and he's saying, come to Pharaoh, come to Egypt. And she says, it doesn't make sense. Furthermore, the very perceptive young lady knew that yesterday, the last Sabbath's Parshas Bo, the Bo in Parshas Bo means come to Pharaoh. In Christian scriptures, it's almost invariably translated as go to Pharaoh. Whether it uses lech or bo, it's go to Pharaoh. But in a Hebrew Bible, you translate it according to what it says, come to Pharaoh. So she was, she just noticed this, because she's starting to follow along in the Hebrew. And so I says, there are at least two explanations for this. I'm only going to give you two. One, I believe, is from the Zohar, points this out. Why does it say come to Pharaoh? He's talking to Moses, he's talking at Sinai. He's like, why is he saying come? He should say go. And same thing with Parshas Bo, come to Pharaoh. And I think it's a Zohar. It says, God saw that Moses was afraid. God saw that Moses was nervous and was extremely reluctant. So the word changes to come as if come go with us. Like you're saying to a friend, come go, we'll go together. Come and we'll go. It's a thing of togetherness, that God will be with Moses. He's not going to be there alone. Another interpretation, similar, but it's not so much that God's going to be going with Moses. God is telling Moses, come to Pharaoh, I'm already there. You're not going to be alone. Come to Pharaoh. I'm going to be with you, and God's everywhere. So he says, I'm already here. That's why we see in chapter 7:15, go, but then the wording changes, chapter 7, verse 26, and chapter 9, verse 1. It says, Bo el Pharaoh, come to Pharaoh. Those were the two off the top of my head. And that seemed to make her feel a little better. But I said, read the commentaries, read what Rashi says, read what Ramban says, Sforno, Ibn Ezra, all these commentaries. There's a wealth of things. See what our sages have said. And as is so often the case, and I'm saying to you, when you have these questions, you're not the first person to ask these questions. Our sages have wrestled with these ideas centuries, millennia ago. You'll be surprised. You have a question and you'll see, oh, Rashi said this 1,000 years ago. Oh, someone in the Gemara said this 1,500 years ago. Someone in the Mishnah said this 2,100 years ago. There's so much there. There's so many layers. Please delve into it. And if you're confused, don't worry. It's a lot to take on, but you may not get it the first time through. But when you're reading it the second time, the third time, especially in the Torah, every year we go through these books the whole year. And if you don't get it last year, you might get it this year. You'll probably get it next year. Read, take it in, turn it over. Everything's in it. We're going to be doing more videos along these lines. Please come back. Please watch. Please learn. And until next time, I'm Daniel, and thank you too much.